I've actually sold a home with a bunker, a downstairs bunker in it. Yeah, one of the older homes in Lompoc. That was super fun, and I went all the way down, and my clients thought I was so crazy. It was a bunker, so that was really, really cool.
All right, so we're here at the Paso Robles podcast. Today I have Maressa Martinez. Maressa Martinez. I've had real estate agents here before. I've had, I think, a couple mortgage people. I'm not sure. But today we're going to promote you however you want, however you feel the need that people should get to know you. And let's start from the beginning. Did you ever think you're going to be a real estate agent growing up?
I did. I grew up in the industry. My family, long time within the industry, they had their own business, and I always loved joining my grandma in all her adventures in what she did. So I started doing files and everything at a very young age because I wanted money. So my grandma said, "There's a stack of files to do."
Yeah. So you got familiar with how everything's like kind of organized, and did you? Who else in the family was doing that kind of stuff in front of you?
Sure. So my grandma and my uncle.
Okay.
Yes. Both of them were very well into the industry, and so just both of them.
Okay. Yeah. So we met at Alignable, which in Arroyo Grande, and from what I'm hearing, it's been blowing up a little bit. But yesterday I went to the one at Tuscadero, and they said Alignable's been around for quite some time. Are you how familiar are you with Alignable?
So I just ran into it about 6 months ago. Cheryl Tolan is an escrow officer, and she had invited us.
Yeah.
I have recently found that it has been big for a while, but yeah, I learned about it 6 months ago.
Okay. Yeah. Do you mind turning up the mic? Put like that. Yeah. Perfect.
Yes.
I want to make sure it's picking you. So, how's the real estate market today? I feel like I know that's a broad question because every day is like different, every week is different, but how do you feel about it? Are you confident? Buyers, sellers market, like those terminologies, what are you thinking today?
For sure. So a lot of us, or a lot of posts and different things that I've been reading, I've read that it's turning and we're shifting into a buyer's market. And quite frankly, I feel like we're just heading into a balanced market. We're seeing our supply increase, which allows more options for buyers. And it also makes the sellers really, really focus on their price point.
Okay.
We have seen price improvements, but it's due to the fact they're pricing at that top instead of like in the mid range.
Yeah.
So they got a little greedy. So we have to price very competitively with the supply we have right now. We have a little more than we've had.
Yeah.
So I'd say we're entering into a healthy, balanced market, not so much a big shift.
Yeah, because before it was like sellers, right? They were pretty much calling the shots a little bit.
Yes, because our supply was so low. And so since our supply has increased somewhat, I would say we're not fully shifting into a buyer's market, just a healthy, balanced market.
This episode is sponsored by Lion Pro Flooring. Give new life to your floors with beautiful, professionally installed flooring. Whether it's hardwood, luxury vinyl, or carpet, your home deserves quality you can feel and craftsmanship you can trust. Serving Paso Robles in all of SLO County, Lion Pro Flooring is your local expert in transforming spaces. Call or text 805-712-3710 for a free estimate today. That's 805-712-3710. Lion Pro Flooring, when quality matters.
Okay, and one thing I heard recently is like don't try to aim so high on the pricing. Why would you tell a seller that?
Exactly. So just like I had said, we're entering into a healthy, balanced market. So if we shift too high, you're going to see your home sit on the market a little bit longer.
Okay.
Because there's other options.
Yeah.
There's other options for buyers, and if you have a home that's relatively the same and on the market that is a little lower, then of course we're going to go with the lower price.
Okay.
So I would say aim for like a mid-range to be competitive and still be one of those homes that buyer picks so that they go view it and get them in the door.
So when the house is on the market a little too long, what are some things that buyers start thinking about? Is like, oh, what's wrong with that house? What goes through that? What happens with that conversation? Because you're trying to get them to buy a house or you're trying to sell it, right?
Of course, yes. So when a home sits on the market, instantly a buyer is stating, just like you said, oh, something's wrong with the home, or I'm going to take advantage of that.
And wait.
Yeah, I'm going to take advantage and get those seller credits or really dock them on the price. So it's a big buying power to a buyer. If they see those days on market, 45 days, 50 days, then they're really going to come at you aggressively. Yes.
Do you see where do you generally work out of? Like, is it Arroyo Grande that you're from, or do you go up and down the coast?
Sure. So I'm a Central Coast agent, Santa Barbara to as far as Paso. Our brokerage has listings all the way within range. My comfortability is Lompoc, Napomo, AG area, yes, and the Valley, San Ynez. Those are my comfort zones, but we do have listings throughout the coast. Sure.
What qualifies them as a comfort zone? Like, why is it comfortable for you there?
Sure. So I'm just really familiar with streets, market.
Okay.
I have a big clientele in those cities. I've sold lots of homes within, and so that's kind of my comfort zone. But if we like to grow, we got to get out of it. So I have branched out into the other areas in the other markets and getting more comfortable in them too. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Where would you like to expand to?
I would like to further my comfort zone north. So Paso, just a little more clientele up here. Paso, AG, Slow, beautiful areas, different markets than Lompoc, Santa Maria, Napomo. So I would like to, further this way. Santa Barbara is always great, but it's big luxury homes. And that's just a total different market. I'm also learning more about commercial. I'm a solely residential realtor.
Okay.
Commercial is just a totally different animal, but I am learning and growing, and I would like to later, within the next year or so, become a big commercial realtor because we have a big need here. All our commercial units are managed by LA realtors, more or less. Maybe some bigger realtors. There's a couple within our Central Coast, but to have that availability for our local sellers, I think would be it is a big need. So I'd like to jump into that when I know and have gathered all the knowledge necessary.
This episode is sponsored by Santos Bros Plumbing. Are you in need of a dependable and effective plumber you can trust? Look no further than Santos Bros Plumbing, your trusted local plumbers in Paso Robles, California. Call them now at 805-360-4679. That's Santos Bros Plumbing.
Yeah. So for commercial, you're saying, is it more up north or down south, like in your comfort zone still? Like, are you noticing down there's like a lot of commercial possibilities? Or are you noticing Paso because Paso is just expanding?
Yes. So it's the whole Central Coast. There's a lot of commercial opportunities. I would say, Central Coast, there's a lot. There's a lot of empty buildings. There's a lot that can, benefit from it with economic development. We're always looking to help that. Realtors should be a main source of that.
For those who haven't thought about commercial real estate, like to own it and to be able to generate that income from commercial real estate, how would you talk them into it?
So there's definitely bigger benefits from it. It's a bigger animal, but you need to know all of the things that come with it. There's CIP, there's rent escalation. The terms usually are 5 to 10 years, escalating every 6 months.
Okay.
So they gain very good income. But there's a lot that comes to that as a seller or an investor. So you really need to have a lot more knowledge than becoming, an investor and building your portfolio and residential rentals, it's way different in commercial, but something to learn about for sure.
Yeah. And
long term.
I know you're still learning, but I guess my next question would be like, would you get a real estate property or commercial property that already has tenants or no tenants? What would you prefer?
So that all depends on the terms of current tenants. So if I gained a commercial property and it had tenants that had been there for quite some time, and there's really some big maintenance items, then that would be a huge money pit walking into it. You're not getting the rent that is, market value for the property. And then not only that, you need to go in there and fix it all up. So it's kind of a catch-22. It depends on the property, the price, and rental terms for sure.
Yeah. So when you say people they're managed by people from out of LA.
Yes.
How long has it been that way? Like, do you know, like, how long has it been that way? And like, is it because they saw an opportunity here long term? Like, I know you're going to try to get into their heads a little bit. It's like, why choose this area to be 4 hours or technically 2 hours away from Santa Barbara, 4 hours from here? Yeah.
So the many investors are, LA, Hollywood. And I think it just comes down to, they're really comfortable with commercial business, and, they're commercial experts. So I don't really know, how it all has happened. I mean, obviously it's just a bigger animal down there in itself. Yeah. So it's just more common. But yeah, for us, we're just little guys over here, and they just dove right into it, being the bigger industry with commercial.
Yeah.
Down south.
Because I see like Taking Over Manhattan or something, or some TV shows about real estate, and like a lot of it is like it feels like it's commercial almost, but they're selling like units out of a building and stuff like that. I don't know if it's like that here, but it's just very interesting to watch that happen and to see about commercial. Because have you seen the movie The Founder? It's about like McDonald's, how it started.
Oh, yes. Yeah. A while back.
And a big thing that they said is like, you're not in the burger making business. You're in the real estate business.
You're in the real estate business. Yeah, for sure. It goes with anything. You cannot lose with real estate. It's reciprocal. It comes back around right now. I mean, there's huge equity gains. I always like to call it monopoly money until you use it.
Oh, okay.
A lot of people are sitting on a lot of equity right now. And, right now I'm turning a lot of my buyers that had purchased in 2020, and we're utilizing that equity, that monopoly money, to turn their portfolio into a bigger one. Okay. So they're taking that equity out and they're running it into another investment home, and, building just this big portfolio for their family, a big legacy. So it's something for a lot of you to think about it. I mean, yes, you can be sitting on all this equity, but why? Utilize it right now. Utilize it before you don't have it again, because, like I said, real estate is reciprocal. So, it's going to go up and down. But definitely investing in real estate, you do not go wrong for sure.
One thing I've noticed that the real estate never goes down to where it used to be. So when you say use it now before you don't have it, or potentially as much.
As much.
So you're looking at that little bar graph or that that line graph going up. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is like, what's stopping them from waiting another 5 to 10 years for it to go back up? Like how are you talking? Like, investing in another property is a good option, right? But I have PTSD from 2020 and the craziness that happened, right? But those who are lucky and got a house like at 3%, they're probably at a better position than me last year at 6.5 or whatever.
Correct.
So how do you have those conversations? Like, for me, I'd obviously have to wait, right? Because I'm only a year in.
Yeah, so the conversation, definitely we don't want to mess with that rate of 3%. Some are at 2.5%. Amazing. And honestly, we'll never see that. So if you're waiting to get into the market, you're crazy, because that was our market shift right there. It was the interest rate. We didn't see a price, but we saw an interest rate, a market shift.
Yeah.
So now we're 5 years into it. So what can I do to turn this equity into a new property? So and not mess up with that rate. So I am suggesting with lenders, because that is a money side, I'm a realtor, but I'm taking my buyers from 2020, 2021, and we're capitalizing in that by getting equity lines. And you can get ones that are not adjustable. You can get adjustable equity rates. So those conversations are all with the financial advisor, the lender. But we are able to pull that money out. And the reason why I say to do it now, because our market, it goes up and down, is because if you have so much equity right now, it's very easy. You can get the money out in 7 days. Without an appraisal, without anything, because you need to stay within that ratio of 70 or 80%, depending on the product.
Yeah.
And so they can get that money in 7 days and flip it into something else. And again, build a legacy right there, then and there. So I have a couple buyers doing that right now. And one just turned into their third property. I have a couple working on their third property, and it's all just property that they bought in 2020. So they're utilizing that. I mean, these are younger generations, 30s to 40s.
Yeah.
Buyers, and they're going to be set up when they're older. 30 years from now, they're only going to be 60, 65, and they're going to have paid off properties. They're all self-sufficient. They're working off of the rents being collected. So a lot of them are investing in multi-units so that they can make sure that the mortgage justifies the rents. Or they are buying a lower residential and converting that garage, or building a full ADU ground up. So they're making sure that they have multi-units when it's all said and done.
Yeah. So for renters and buyers, or owning a home and renting a home, I know in 2020 or before 2020, it was probably cheaper to rent than to buy. I feel like, because when I was renting, it was like, I think like around 1,650 around there. That was like 2019.
Yeah.
Now I look at the same apartments with 3-bedroom, 2-bath or whatever, and they're like 3,500, 3,800 in the span of 5 years, which is insane.
Yes.
Do you see that right now? Okay, I know for sure owning a home is probably way more smart. I mean, owning a home is always going to be better, right?
Yes, it is smarter.
But right now, do you see that leveling out, either renting or owning, or what do you see as far as like the price range here?
Sure. So sometimes it can be a little more owning. And a lot of people are hesitant due to, the down payment. But we do have programs, especially for teachers, first responders, for that. No money is free money. So you do absorb it somewhat in the interest rate. But there are other grants and things accessible right now.
Yeah.
But a lot of people will say, oh, no, I'm comfortable renting, the interest rate. But if you put it in reality, your interest rate renting is 100%.
Yeah.
You are not investing in yourself. You're throwing money away. So long term, as far as, rents versus mortgages, maybe our mortgages are a little bit higher, but the fact is you're investing in yourself and you're getting that money back in the long run. Long term, you got to think long term, not short term. Long term gains for sure.
This episode is sponsored by Valeria Genoves with Remax, your local real estate expert here in the Paso Robles and Central Coast. Whether it's your first home or your forever home, Valeria makes the process smooth, personal, and stress-free. She's bilingual, experienced, and ready to help. ¿Hablas español? Ella también. Call Valeria today at 805-212-6387 and let's get you a home.
Yeah, that's one of the things that at least in my 20s I didn't think about, because I was renting. I mean, there was a good portion I was renting from somebody else, like a room from someone else. So, but when I moved away and back, and when I got back in 2016, I had a good chunk of change saved up, and I keep telling myself I should have just bought, because imagine today.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's a whole Bitcoin situation.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yes. You got to just pull the trigger. And I think, a lot of buyers that are on the fence right now, they're going to say the same thing that you're saying. I should have pulled the trigger in 2025 and not had that dependency of, oh, what if the interest rates go down? Because my thing that I say is marry the home and date the rate. You can always change that rate. You can refi it.
That's a good one.
But everyone is waiting for the rate, right? So if everyone's waiting for the rate, then you're going to suffer in the price because then you're going to come back to multiple offers. You know, as soon as you see that dip, everyone's going to jump into the market and then you're going to pay $60,000 more. So is it really going to benefit you for waiting on the rate? Or right now with our healthy, balanced market, maybe utilize that, get some seller credits, you know, offer a little bit lower if it's, you know, something that has sat on the market. Be in control of your choice and marry the home and date the rate.
Yeah. And the best time to buy is yesterday.
Yes.
And the second best time is today. So for those that bought in 2020 and 2021, how are you finding them? Is there like a list of like when they sold and to who, or do you just go knock on those doors that say that address specifically?
So there is resources for us to gather off of county records.
Okay.
So I can pull a farm and you can call them, but I like to get in front of them. So I go take a little visit and, you know, I don't plan too many in the day. I, you know, pick 3 or 5. I don't know how long it's going to take if they're home or not, but I want to make sure that I have the quality time necessary and not be rushed. So, you know, I get a list, to see who purchased, where their equity's at, learn all the information, and then really come with a good case to them to let them know, you know, let's capitalize on this. And did you know a lot of times we'll find out they have no idea, you know, they just don't want to touch that interest rate. They're comfortable. And so we just need to let them know. We need to be the ones to go out there and provide the information if they're wanting to grow.
Yeah, because I mean, you mentioned it's like in their 30s and their 40s, so it's all younger folks who don't know this information. If they do, it's because they have somebody in the family that has like figured it out and like, hey, by the way, do this next and do this next and do this next. So one of the big things is social media. Like, how are you marketing yourself there? I glanced at it. It's good. A lot of information, of course. So how do you help them filter that?
Yes. So social media has been something new and absolutely something that I have been working on to better my business. We have a lot of younger realtors that are amazing at it, and a lot are on our Empire team. So I kind of piggyback off of them, asking them questions, and then they ask me, you know, bigger industry questions. So currently I do have I like to put valuable information. I don't really like scripted. I know a lot of them go through a home and do a home tour, and that does catch a good audience, but I like to have genuine information. So right now, I'm providing video testimonials of these investors that are capitalizing on the equity, just so I can, again, gain a bigger audience. And for those that are sitting on that 2020 home, 2021, or anyone that has a large amount of equity, just providing information to know, hey, you can be even bigger. You know, you can capitalize on this. So right now I'm gauging to that audience and capitalizing the equity by video testimonials. Yes. And so I went to a luncheon not too long ago, and they said, you know, you can have all those Google reviews. I used to just do Google reviews or try to do them. Google My Business is like shut down and I've had to restart and so many different things. But social media, Instagram, Facebook, that's where it's at right now. It's so hot with buyers. They had recommended and said, you know, a video testimonial is a lot more valuable than these Google rights or, you know, something you have to read. Because if you think about it, what our kids are doing, or all the millennials, they're watching videos all day long, TikTok and whatever. And I'm like, absolutely. Why didn't we think of that? So video testimonials specifically on what I want to gauge my business into right now. And it's capitalizing on that equity for them.
This episode is brought to you by Rad Scooter Deli on 6th Street. Craving something delicious in Paso Robles? Rad Scooter Deli on 6th Street has you covered. Enjoy tasty sandwiches, fresh salads, and smoothies like the Banana Nut Blast, my personal favorite. Kick back on the covered patio, sip on a cold beer and wine, and enjoy the easy parking. Order online for pickup or dine-in. And here's a treat. Use promo code PODCAST for $5 off your next order. That's PODCAST for $5 off your next order. Open daily from 6:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Red Scooter Deli. Local flavor, fast and fresh.
Yeah, no, I think that's where the attention is for sure, is on social media. And I mean, just to be a fly on the wall would be kind of cool, you know, like to see that conversation happening with you and the client and the buyer and the seller. And I guess video testimonials is a good way to do that. Is there anything that you want people to prepare for if they're not ready to buy a house now? And it's always good to buy a house, right? If they're not ready, what would you tell them to do to prepare to eventually get in the market?
Absolutely. So number one thing is credit is everything. Credit is everything, and make sure you're making those payments on time. You are having, low balances. If you did have a hiccup, for whatever reason, life happens. It's not the end. And we do have a valuable credit repair person. Locally, it's not one of those, okay, pay $100 or whatever, and you don't know where they're at. This is a local guy that will help with credit, because number one is credit. With better credit, you get a lower interest rate. There's so many more benefits. So really focus on your credit. Make sure you have, long-term credit. If you don't have anything, open up something, get a car. Do not co-sign with anyone. Do not co-sign with anyone. Make it your own credit. Save as much as you can, because like I said, we do have those programs available for down payment assistance, but no money is free money, and you will suffer in the interest rate more than likely.
Yeah. So
if you have your own money, it's best. We can help with closing costs by asking the seller, but at least have your down payment or somewhat of it. So credit, save your money, and you have a good job. Stay at your job, go to work hard, and let that all pay off by completing that American dream of owning your own home.
So when you say save money, how much should people be saving?
So it's kind of whatever their budget will allow. If there's any extra money, I would definitely, if you're not very good with your money and you put it in a savings account, but then later take it out, give it to someone you trust, your parents, to kind of just lock it away, or put it in a CD. I mean, there's other ways to build money quicker, but if you want to certify money, put it into a CD for 6 months. So you absolutely cannot touch it. If you do touch it, then you are penalized. So at least, it's there.
Yeah.
But kind of whatever your budget allows you to save, do it. Maybe, do less eating out, whatever it is. If your main goal or your goal in a year or 2 years is to own a home, then really, really capitalize on saving, and whatever your budget allows you. It's hard to say, but if you want to know how much a down payment is, it's, for VA loans, you can come in with zero money, zero down, and we can kind of get everything paid for you where you don't have to come in with any money if you're a vet, or active duty. For FHA, VA, it's 3%, or sorry, FHA or conventional, there's 3%. So if you're looking at homes and our median price is like $575, 3% of that is what your down payment's going to be. So that's something to kind of gauge what you'll need to have when you go purchase a home.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm hearing a lot of like the VA stuff going on. Why more? Is there like a new program, or like is the program like restructured? Like what's going on there that I'm hearing it more often, or I'm just talking to too many realtors? One of those things are happening.
So maybe more talks of it is just we're really promoting to all our military that they are able to purchase a home with no money down. From what I'm finding, though, it is still very expensive, for our normal airmen, Lompoc, being in that Lompoc market, the airmen and their housing allowance, it still doesn't really match. Yeah. So, but it's still a great way to get in to a home as long as it all makes sense with numbers and financials. It's always been around. So I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we do always promote our vets in getting in a home and making sure that it's zero to no money as far as closing costs. They don't have funding fees. They have different things that they don't have too on top of it. They also get tax breaks if they're disabled veteran. So there's a lot of benefits, and I think that maybe we're just promoting it more to let them know, to get the information out there, because maybe they don't quite know everything. So
Right.
This episode is sponsored by Pueblo Furniture in Paso Robles. Skip the credit card headache. Talk to Roger and get 0% in-house financing on quality furniture you'll love. Visit them at 1030 Railroad and 10th Street or call 805-239-5942. That's Del Pueblo Furniture. Comfort you want, payments you can handle. Y sí, se habla español. Just ask for Roger.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I'm hearing it more often, so it's a good sign, because I'm not a veteran. So it's like, if I'm hearing it, hopefully they're hearing it.
yes.
And I guess one of the things is like, is there specific requirements for which houses qualifies under a VA?
So not really specific, but in order for them to get their funding, they have to have a clear pest report.
Okay.
And then they have to make sure that there's no health and safety things. So after you go under contract, they always have, every home with a loan has an appraisal. So the appraiser, a VA certified appraiser, goes out to make sure everything is in working order. There's no health and safety, and we absolutely have to have a clear pest report, section 1 and 2. So no infestation. It has to be tented if there is, and then the woodwork all has to be completed for them, so that we make sure that a good, sound home is turned over to them, which it absolutely should be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. They should do that for everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. So FHA is a little bit along the lines. They have to have health and safety issues taken care of. So no holes in the shower. Flooring needs to be, no health and safety. So like if the carpet's coming up, then that has to either be removed or replaced. They can, for FHA, you can have, just a concrete floor.
Yeah.
But for FHA, you don't have to have a clear pest. But a good working agent for you should, work for you and make sure that those sellers take care of those repairs that happened in the home when they lived in it and owned it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where the buyer seller market happens and the negotiation happens. But now you're saying we're reaching like a kind of healthy balance between the two. So, how do you see that conversation happening? Like, let's say you were helping somebody sell a house or buy a house, and you say like, all right, pest, that stuff needs to be cleared. How do you work that in? Like,
For sure.
I just don't know how that conversation might happen today.
Sure. So first we get into the home. So we write a very competitive offer. So whichever it is, if there's multiple offers, then we have terms that are competitive. We make sure that the seller looks at our offer and accepts it. That's the first step. So then we open up escrow, and at that time, it's the buyer's job to go through all the inspections to make sure they know exactly what they're purchasing and they're okay with the condition. So at that time with my buyers, I pay for a home inspection and I pay for a pest inspection, because out of good faith, I just want them to have a great home and know what they're purchasing.
Yeah.
And so after we gather those reports, then it's another negotiation process of purchasing the home. So say we get a home inspection and it has a bunch of stuff on it. I talk with my clients and ask them, do you want this, some of this stuff repaired? What's absolutely necessary for you to have done before you obtain the home? So we have a conversation about that. A lot of people are choosing to have a credit. And so instead of having the items fixed, in the sense, maybe they want to do it themselves or have their own trusted people do it.
Yeah.
They take the credit. So that's just less cash that they have to bring to the table at the end. So it kind of works out the same. And then if there's a huge pest report, we also negotiate either to fix all that or to take credit for it. So maybe, they don't want, that's a little high report, and they will maybe they have a family member that's a contractor that will do all the woodwork. So they'll take that dollar amount from the report, but then later take care of it. So there's different angles to negotiate that buyer inspection contingency and the findings of the home, but it's another negotiation process after you open escrow and get your offer accepted.
This episode is sponsored by Western Janitor Supply. They have cleaning supplies and equipment for any workplace. Call today at 805-238-2112. They provide an extensive line of chemicals, paper products, and floor equipment. Again, that's Western Janitor Supply, located in downtown Paso Robles.
Got it.
Yes.
And then just for my curiosity, what's the craziest story you have about buying or selling a house? Like, no dead body, hopefully, but like anything. What's the craziest thing that's happened?
No dead body.
No money found in the walls.
No money found in the walls. The craziest story. I've seen a lot of crazy things, and it just kind of makes your mind wonder. And I think the crazier things were during the REO and the short sales. I've been licensed since 2011, so I've seen a different shift of markets.
Oh, okay.
And during that time period, we were getting the foreclosures, and to see all the different things within the home were quite crazy. Locks on the padlocks. Different things. Yeah. I've actually sold a home with a bunker, a downstairs bunker in it. Yeah. One of the older homes in Lompoc. That was super fun. And I went all the way down, and my clients thought I was so crazy. It was a bunker. So that was really, really cool. I haven't had too many crazy stories, to share, which is either good or bad. But I think the funnest one was that bunker, and I got to go all the way down.
So was the bunker built after they got the house? Stop it,
He
Siri.
doesn't understand.
Yeah. So I'm guessing they got the house and then they kind of dug the bunker themselves. Did you ask who thought about it? How did this concept come up? Were they thinking there's gonna be a nuclear bomb or something?
So we don't have all of the details on it. We did try to look it up through the Historic Society in Lompoc. But definitely the home was built. And then in the basement, the guy built a safety bunker. For that time, it could be for a number of things.
Yeah.
It was an 1800s home.
Okay.
But yeah, it was still in great shape. It looked like, some of the previous owner kind of put stuff into it. There's some trash and stuff.
Yeah.
My buyers ended up just sealing it off.
Oh, okay.
So no one can go down there and get hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was still in working order. He did a great job, But
I was gonna ask, does that add more square footage to the house?
I would have probably put a wine cellar down there, with a spiral staircase, and made something really cool out of that. If I, had the time or desire to live in that home, I would have probably made a wine cellar or something to kind of just have it be a conversation piece.
This episode is brought to you by the White
It was pretty
Wave
cool.
Wellness. Choose to live a healthy and fulfilling life. Wellness is more than being free from illness. It is a process of change and growth towards a mentally and physically healthy lifestyle. Reach out to Jennifer Hale to learn more about how this water can change your life.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Some sort of something crazy down there. I thought California, you weren't allowed to have basements, or am I just hearing something completely wrong? Because if around here, I never see a house with a basement.
Yeah, it's not common. The older homes some of them do have basements.
Okay.
The law of not having them, I'm not sure on that. I have never heard that.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
somebody told me, was they're not allowed to have basements or something. Some places don't even I don't know. It could just be a thing that was said somewhere, and somebody goes, "Oh, that makes sense."
Yes, yeah, you know how that all works. I'm not sure if that is a law, but the older homes, there's a lot of them with basements.
Yeah.
Maybe the new law.
Yeah.
With new builds and, from this date on, you cannot have a basement here. I'm not sure, but the older homes definitely do. I've seen quite a few.
That'd be kind of cool to own a house with a basement. So
I
you can do
know.
some crazy
I
stuff.
love those older homes
Yeah.
anyways. I love viewing all different kinds of homes. That's the joy of my job
Yeah.
is to see the different styles and everything. But what I really love is when I have a showing at an older home to see all the little character items of each home. And I like when also they're renovated, but they still keep those little features to keep that style and that age of the home. So those are super fun. And then finding basements and different things, that's always a great time.
Can a buyer tell you, hey, it has to have a basement, and then you find out which ones have basements?
Yeah, they all have those certain criteria marks that they want to meet with their home. And so that could be something. I haven't had a buyer specifically say, hey, I need a basement.
No.
But if that was one of the criteria marks, that'd be very difficult because they only come up every so often.
No.
So you would have to think like, hey, probably someone asking for that, it's someone out of state.
Okay.
But that would be a very difficult task, but I would definitely try to do that.
Yeah, because at that lineable meeting, I met somebody who does like reverse mortgages. I think there's a couple of people there.
Yeah, I've talked to him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I just for some reason started thinking about reverse mortgages because the older people have those older homes, and that could be like your way in to get more basements.
Yeah. No, I definitely have made a connection with him. He's great. He is, like I said, his expertise is reverse mortgages. He knows that, and he's very, very good at them and knowledgeable. I've referred a couple clients to him. So yeah, he's a great resource. And then some of those financial advisors there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I absolutely know who you're talking about. He's good. He's really good.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, especially for those who are trying to get some money to go pay something or
just live right now.
Live right now.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I know when you said earlier you were saying it's like don't eat out as much, but then I started thinking about the grocery prices, and I'm like, I remember going and spending $50-$60 and like a whole week's worth of stuff. Now it's like 150, 200. It's insane.
Yeah. The grocery market in itself is just high. I know I have 2 kids, 2 teenagers, and our, weekly bill is, I don't know, $200-$300 just the grocery store. So, everything is a lot more expensive, and it's hard. It's tough.
Yeah. So is there anything else you want to tell the audience about one, how can they reach you? And 2, why you over everybody else?
Oh, great question. That's hard. So yeah, you can reach me on social media, Maressa Martinez. And I have an email at info@maressatherealtor.com and my phone number 805-944-0323. And to stand out amongst all the other amazing realtors, I'd like to say that I give back to my community. That's part of my branding. I make sure that every transaction I give back to either a youth organization, and now I've rolled it into a veterans program. I used to say 1% of every transaction goes to a community program, but I think I need to go away from the 1% because I am giving a lot more than that. So I have a lot of, sports organizations that reach out to me, and I love supporting them. All-star teams, veterans. I help welcome home military heroes, and I want to get a little more involved with that. So yes, I think that I'm built around building a strong community, and I make sure that monies go back into it.
Okay. Well, great. That's awesome.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for being on the show. And if you ever want to come back, let me know, and we'll talk about what that current market is like, and if you found any more bunkers.
Yes, perfect. I'll have to bring some exciting stories back, and I'd love to join when you have a bill.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.